In the bustling city of Lagos lived a man named Edward Harris. Edward was wealthy. He owned several luxury car spare parts shops scattered across the city. He was tall, good-looking, and always impeccably dressed. Women admired him everywhere he went. To most people, Edward was the complete package: handsome, rich, single. But there was one fatal flaw: he was extremely stingy. People nicknamed him the Iron Fist. Despite his wealth, he refused to spend money on anyone, not even on himself. He rotated the same 5 shirts and trousers every week and avoided unnecessary expenses. Because of this, his relationships never lasted. The longest was barely 2 months before the women left in frustration. At first, Edward didn't care. He believed they were all after his money. But as he approached 40, the loneliness began to trouble him. He wanted companionship and a family. One day, he called his mother, Mrs. Harris, in the countryside. "Mother, I need a good wife. Not these city girls who only chase money. Find me a simple, decent girl." His mother sighed. "Edward, finding a wife isn't the problem. But will you take care of her? This stinginess of yours will drive her away." "Don't worry, mother. Just find me the right girl. I promise to look after her." And so, Mrs. Harris began her search. She looked for someone humble and patient, someone who might endure her son's miserly habits. After weeks of observation, she found Emily, a beautiful 19-year-old who had just finished high school. Emily's family was poor and couldn't afford college fees. She was respectful, soft-spoken, and seemed like the type who could adjust. Mrs. Harris approached Emily's parents with the proposal. At first, Emily resisted. She didn't know Edward and dreamed of going to college. But her parents convinced her, marrying a wealthy man could change their lives. Eventually, she agreed. When Edward arrived to see her, he was captivated by her beauty. Emily too was relieved. Her husband-to-be wasn't some old, wrinkled man. Their wedding was arranged quickly, and soon she was driven to the city in Edward's luxury SUV. At first, Emily was dazzled by the mansion, the expensive furniture, and the new life ahead of her. She whispered to herself, "Is this really my life now? The lady of a mansion?" But reality came fast. The very next morning at 4 a.m., Edward tapped her awake. "Emily, get up. I need breakfast before 7 a.m. Time is money." She was shocked. She had expected romance, maybe even a honeymoon. Instead, she was pounding yam before dawn. As weeks passed, Emily discovered Edward's ways. He never let her shop, he went himself, memorizing every price. He wore only 5 outfits. Worst of all, he counted the pieces of meat in the soup pot. One evening, Emily sat at the table with 4 pieces of meat on her plate. Edward stormed in, counted them, and shouted, "Emily! For big pieces of meat? Do you want to waste my money?" Before she could reply, he removed 2 pieces from her plate. Emily was stunned. She had married a rich man but was living like a beggar. She called Mrs. Harris to complain. "Mother, your son is suffocating me. He never gives me money. He even counts the meat in the soup." Mrs. Harris sighed. "Be patient, my daughter. His father was like that too. Once you get pregnant, he will change." Emily tried to endure, and eventually she became pregnant. Edward was happy, but not generous. When she craved chicken and ice cream, he refused. "Chicken and ice cream? That money can cook 2 pots of soup. You're not the first woman to be pregnant." Emily cried, but endured. Then one day, Edward collapsed at home. At the hospital, the doctor's words destroyed him. "Mr. Harris, we found a brain tumor. It has spread. You have only 3 months to live." Edward's world fell apart. All his years of saving, denying himself, counting every penny, yet he couldn't buy time. He thought of Emily, his unborn child, and all he had wasted. For the first time, he opened his wallet. He gave Emily $20,000 to start a business. He bought her clothes, jewelry, and gifts. He pampered her like never before. He even sent money to her parents. Emily was shocked. This wasn't the Edward she knew. Weeks passed, and his kindness continued. But the 3 months ended, and Edward was still alive. Confused, he returned to the hospital. More tests were run. The doctor delivered astonishing news. "Mr. Harris, you were misdiagnosed. You don't have a tumor. You're perfectly healthy." Edward broke down in tears. Relief flooded him, but so did regret. He realized how close he had come to dying without ever truly living. When he told Emily, she too wept, this time with joy. From that day on, Edward was a changed man. He no longer counted meat in the pot, no longer hoarded his wealth. He had finally learned that money means nothing if it isn't used to love and care for those who matter most. Please comment, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting stories.